Larger screen, OLED, better kickstand, it's yours, my friend, as long as you have enough rupees. So the Switch OLED just came out. For those who don't know, somehow, this is the newer model of the Switch. It's not any more powerful at all. It's the same internals. The only difference is larger screen, better screen in terms of being OLED, though that does come with some downsides. And also the fact that it has a better kickstand. There is apparently better audio, but we'll see about that. It's apparently a bit debatable if that's actually true, but we'll see. So we'll go ahead and take a look at it first just to see. Alright, so right off the bat, the Joy-Con are exactly the same. These ones are just white. That's it. That's the only difference. White. Nothing different with these, but they do look nice, and they are, it's pretty much guaranteed at this point based off what we're seeing. This is basically a Metroid Dread themed Switch without being actually Metroid Dread themed. So it is releasing today on the 8th, which is the same date as Metroid Dread. And right off the bat, so what I'm seeing here first, the screen, you can see just from here that the screen is, the bezel is a lot smaller, screen is a lot larger. It seems like it might be using like an actual glass now instead of plastic, which is nice. One thing that's interesting, I haven't really seen any other people mention. So the front glass here, that is actual glass. That's about the same size. It's slightly different shape though. So on the last one, it has slightly more rounded corners, which I'll compare the two after we get everything out of the box. And then the other thing is that the front, like the front plastic even, is glossy. So before, it was like a matte plastic all around, and then the screen was like that glossy finish, but it seems like even the front plastic now has that gloss. I'm not sure how much I like that, just because that front gloss can be fingerprinty and also can possibly attract more scratches overall. We'll have to see, especially when it goes in and out of the dock. It could scratch easier, so that'll be something to test out later. You get the usual doodads, so HDMI cable right here. You have the Joy-Con grips, which barely anyone uses. That's going to go off to the side and probably be forgotten forever. Joy-Con controller grip, same as the old one. It might just be me. It might be a little bit more glossy on the inside, but that might just be because all of mine now are launch day ones, so they've lost their gloss probably. Charger, again, nothing different in this whatsoever. Completely the same. Now what's really nice though is the dock. Now the dock is really not anything too different on this one, but on this one, because we have this model, it is a nice sexy white color. The only major differences on this one that I know of right now is that the inside has that Ethernet. So right in the back here, pop that off. Oh, so if you pop that off, right in here, it used to be AC, HDMI, and then USB 3.0. It didn't actually ever run at 3.0, but that was there. And then what you'd have to do is get a LAN adapter into that to go out to if you want to do a wired Ethernet, which frankly for the Switch is kind of recommended just because Nintendo servers are kind of crap anyway. So the better advantage you have of having a strong connection, the better you will have in terms of gaming experience. Now, one thing that is weird is that the back of it no longer hinges, so it snaps in like it used to. That's par for the course. But if you actually open this, instead of hinging down, it just like literally just kind of comes out. Apparently, from what I've heard, Nintendo did some research and they found that people who were plugging stuff into the back like this just left it open anyways. I don't know why, because they left that nice cutout for you to use, but whatever. Only thing I can notice is maybe slightly better venting here. I can't really tell for sure though. Now again, I'll probably have to compare the two just to see. Other than that, on this one, I do like the logo a bit better. On the past one, which you won't be able to see because I have a sticker on the old one, but rather than, so this one is like, rather than being like a printed on logo, it's actually slightly embossed into the Switch. So on the front of the dock, where on the front here you have this more matte plastic, and then the logo is like a glossy plastic. That's kind of cool. Overall, I can say for sure the edges on here are, I feel, slightly more rounded on this edge. And then other than that, let me pull out the other dock just to check. So there is actually a slight difference inside these two. So on the new one, it looks like they're using a glossy plastic on the inside of the dock where the Switch slides in. And then it also looks like the two bars that kind of protrude a little bit to help keep it in, those seem thinner. So I'm not sure why that is. Perhaps they're trying to prevent the issue that this one had, that a lot of people experienced, where when they would slide their Switch in and out of it, it ended up actually scratching over time. But to be fair, that might be mitigated by that the stronger kind of glass screen on this. Other than that, looking at the back of these, like I said before, this one pops off. This one actually just hinges on and stays on. I kind of prefer it to hinge and stay on, just because that one did also allow you to, if you did it carefully, you could snap it off there. So you could in fact snap it off. It's not like it couldn't, but yeah, I'm not too sure why they would make it not do that, but whatever. Of note as well, just on the back, slightly different cutout shape. So on this one, it's like this really interesting curve design that also goes out to the side. This one does it similarly, but it's more of just like an L shape rather than a curve. Now let's go ahead and turn this bad boy on just to see. Now, first impression, Joy-Con feels a little bit different, the rail at least. It's got a little bit, it's almost like, I'd say it's a little bit smoother. Not by much, but it is noticeable. Let's go ahead and turn it on. So, first off, let me go ahead and try the kickstand. Now I have heard, So I have heard that on the bottom here for the speaker grill, that people are kind of sticking their finger in there to lift the kickstand and are actually damaging that. So that is kind of a very easy point of failure, given that other than that, there is no real obvious spot. Because on the old one like this, there's a very obvious spot where you just click it open, you lift it up from the bottom. For this one, there's no, because it's, you know, the entire bottom, there's no real spot to really stick your finger in, other than right next to here is a safe spot on this plastic bit, or it can be, you know, in the speaker grill and damage that. Screen size difference is a lot more than you'd expect. It's going from, I believe, 6.2 to 7-inch. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but in practice, it is actually quite a difference here. It's actually kind of bizarre how much of a difference that is. System updates. All right, so I got it set up. It wanted me to do a system update. That was annoying. So that's interesting. The OLED is slightly harder for me to film right now because it is, this dark theme makes it harder to see because it actually gets darker, which is nice. All right, so for the purposes of video, I'm now doing the cardinal sin of using light theme to make it so you can actually somewhat see the screens. So right off the bat, the first thing you notice is the screen size. That much is pretty apparent. One thing that's probably not going to show up though, on camera at least, is the difference in color. So on this one, which is my current, the old LCD one, the color is a little, I'd say, warmer than the other one, than the new one. The OLED almost looks a little green in comparison, but not in a bad way. So more about physical features on the back. We saw the kickstand, but one thing I didn't see really anyone else talk about is down here on the back, there's actually a little bit of like a rubber footing on both sides. I'm assuming that is so when it is in fact In tabletop mode, the kickstand actually kind of stays in place and doesn't slide around. Because I do know on the original model on here, there was some rubber as well, but as we all know, this kickstand is total crap. It is garbage. That's one of the worst kickstand designs ever invented by humans. So one other thing about the new kickstand is it's not just more robust and sturdier, it actually also allows multiple angles. So you can kind of set it to whatever you want and it will stay in that position, which is absolutely fantastic. Because the old one, you had one, as my old kickstand actually pops off as I try to open it up to demonstrate. Fantastic. The old kickstand, you can set it, and that's the angle you get. One angle. Have fun. Hope it works. This one, you can actually set it higher, lower. You can actually set it all the way down, which is really nice when you're actually sitting right above it, which happens more often than you think, like on an airplane when you're freaking shoved straight into that stupid tray. Good gosh, planes nowadays. In terms of plastic quality on this thing, there is a noticeable difference between at least my model that I have, the launch day one, and this one. I'm saying before I put this on it, this is third party, mainly because my switch shell was completely falling apart. So I have a day one switch, got it launch day, and I actually had to replace the entire outer casing on this thing because it was falling apart. And one place that they seem to have addressed finally is right up here. So this grill has very, very thin plastic, and it is very much prone to breaking, especially on the first model of like the launch day switches up to like the red box type switches. They had an issue where the heat coming out of them would actually cause them to just disintegrate, literally. Like it would just fall apart. You wouldn't even touch it and it would just, parts would disappear and you're like, where'd it go? This one is slightly different. You can see the slots for it are thinner, and the plastic there in general is much more reinforced overall, which is good. Like I can press on this right now, fairly strong, and it's not bending. Whereas if I push on this one, you can kind of feel it move a bit, which is not good. Other than that, the volume buttons and the power button are a slightly different shape. On the old model, the power button is fully rounded, and the volume rocker has like the plus and minus with like a gap in the middle, like a pretty large one at that. The OLED, the volume rocker kind of takes the entire portion of that volume rocker. There's no like weird gap in the middle. And then the, I like that. The power button is slightly recessed, slightly smaller and oval. I feel like that'll make it a bit more difficult to accidentally press. Now, I don't press it accidentally often, but it does happen, especially when you go with like wonky grips for different games. It's not often, but it has happened. In terms of size, it should be the same, but no. Hold on. So the Switch OLED is actually marginally, very, very minorly wider. And it's not a lot, but that is going to be a problem for a large amount of accessories, specifically anything that is a grip, because there are like, a case that was going to completely surround it was obviously not going to work because some of the cutouts wouldn't have matched up. But things like the Satisfy grip, the current models, I have an accessory that has a controller clip for the Pro controller, and then it holds just the Switch tablet. That's probably not going to work either. So anything really that uses friction to hold the Switch in probably isn't going to work unless they have very loose tolerances. Back to the screen. So as I said before, right now I have a screen protector on it, so it's hard to tell. But I can say for sure that screen is definitely, it's either glass or a much harder plastic. In general, this one definitely at least feels and looks higher quality. It definitely feels like it'll be more resistant to scratches overall. So that would be nice. I'd probably still put a screen protector on it because I'm a wuss, but whatever. All right, so speakers. It's hard to tell. I'd say if they're better, maybe marginally, but not by anything astronomical, not anything I would probably put as an advertising point like they did. But any kind of improvement is nice, I guess, but not something too major. The screen is marginally brighter, not by a whole lot. Whether you'll be able to see it easier outside, I have no clue. So yeah, I would definitely think the speakers are better. By how much is questionable, but I would definitely say they are better. So the screen is still 720p, but that really doesn't make too big of an issue. It still looks fairly crisp at this size and at this distance that you're going to be playing it most of the time. It looks pretty okay. I mean, even the Valve Steam Deck isn't going to be too much more resolution. If anything, it's about the same, just a little bit taller. So if you complain about this, but you are shouting for the freaking Steam Deck, then you're just a moron. Okay, so I can for sure say the colors on this are very much better, much more vivid. Apparently, there is a system setting that actually forces the games on the OLED Switch to be more vivid. All right, so I disabled the vivid color setting, and there is a difference, but not an incredible amount like you would think. On a few games that are already very vivid to start with, it can actually sometimes cause a little bit of oversaturation. So kind of takeaway, first impression, it's good. 350 is a little high for it, but not that much more, especially for the larger screen. The better kickstand is one of the major reasons. If you play tabletop somewhat regularly, that'd be kind of a major reason to get it. Other than that, the screen, the colors are a lot better, and the plastic in general, the build quality is much improved, which was much needed for this thing. The downside is that a large amount of the accessories that you might own probably will not work. So until companies start creating accessories for the Switch OLED, you won't be able to use most of your accessories, unfortunately. That's kind of a problem, but not a major one. It's more just an annoyance, really. Yeah, that screen size is actually a lot more than I expected. The colors are vibrant. In general, the screen is such an improvement. If you don't have a Switch, definitely pick up the OLED. If you already have one, an upgrade might not be totally necessary. It's more just personal preference. Like for me, I mainly want to replace my old one because it has been falling apart. Plus, it'd be cool to do homebrew on it. If you have a day one Switch, it will be a little bit of a battery bump, but nothing major. Maybe an hour at most, depending. But if you're playing a really dark game, like a lot of black, you can maybe see a little bit of an increase as well from that. But the OLED screen itself probably isn't netting you any kind of improved battery life. So I guess all I can say is if you're looking to upgrade to this, my recommendation is it depends. If you have the money to blow anyways, might as well. It's a better screen, better kickstand. If you already own a Switch, it's a little bit more debatable. A Switch Lite, if you're looking to get a better screen and then also possibly the ability to use it on a TV at some point, maybe upgrade. It is $150 more than that model though, so if you already have a Switch Lite, there's probably a reason you have the cheaper version rather than just a full Switch. And then in general, if you don't have one, this is probably the one you'll want to pick up because it's just in general better and it's only $50 more. And frankly, I believe this is probably going to be the one that Nintendo kind of is slowly going to be sliding in to fully replace the old model. Other than that, if you like the content you're seeing, go ahead and click that subscribe button and ring the bell icon to let you know when I make more content like this. I do a weekly show called Game Crash, which I will be covering some news, including this week. That should be up probably the day after this one. It's kind of hit or miss with that at the moment, because I have no clue when this one's going to go up, but it should be up before that one. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.